Hello, Playdate. Thank you for joining us for episode 2. My name is Don.
And my name is Nick.
And this week we have a couple little news articles, very brief news articles. And then we're going to talk about the Season 1, Week 2 titles and a couple indies. So thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Doing all right, Nick?
Absolutely, Don. How are you?
I am doing well. I had a sort of dilemma. My Playdate was not updating its Season 1 games. Didn't update last week, didn't update this week. And so I contacted support, and it was a rough ride getting back with them. They're a little bogged down with other serious issues right now. And I didn't see anybody else with this issue. So I was talking, I posted to, on Twitter, I posted to the Panic, hey, can you guys help me out? And I would like to thank Tiny Yellow Machine. Actually, I don't have their Twitter handle, but on Twitch TV, they go by Tiny Yellow Machine, and they post every Friday. They do a live stream and interviews and whatnot about Playdate stuff. So they have like a Playdate show, a live Playdate show every Friday.
Oh, cool.
So I'll put a link in the show notes. But they, I guess, hit me up and were talking to me about it on Twitter. And one of the employees of Panic, I don't know if they want to say who they are. Anyway, they noticed it, asked for my serial number on a private message, and they pushed weeks 3 and 4. So I have the games for weeks 3 and 4. And we are all curious to see what will happen on Monday if I get week 5 games.
Well, hopefully so.
Yeah, hopefully so. The only thing that I guess would have caused this is if I had done a factory reset. Doing a factory reset will take you back to week 1.
Mm-hmm.
I did not do a factory reset. I had heard that it will take you back to week 1, so I did everything short of that. I didn't want to go all the way back. So
right.
My week 2 game showed up at like normal 2 weeks ago, but then last week and this week I didn't get any games. But anyway, thank you to that Playdate or that Panic employee. And of course, I'm getting a phone call right now. Thank you to that Panic employee. I'm caught up, so we can talk about games next week. That was my big concern. And thank you to Tiny Yellow Machine running that for talking me up and bringing some attention to it. Appreciate that.
Yeah. It's very, very kind of them.
Yes. And I also wanted to mention the YouTube channel Destination Playdate, kind of doing what we're doing. They're reviewing all of the Season 1 games and a lot of the itch.io games, indies. So pretty neat little channel. They do pretty short reviews, like maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes. But I noticed it and I was checking out some of the videos, and then I was like, oh, let me go to the About section on YouTube. And it turns out their Twitter handle is Helloplaydatepodcast. The Twitter handle.
Scooped us.
Yeah, that I was trying to get. So we are Hello PD Podcast because I couldn't get Hello Playdate on Twitter, obviously. Anyway, so I'll put a link to his channel in the show notes. You can check out his videos as well. He seems to be posting them every day. Have you watched any yet?
I have not.
Okay. Well, they're sitting there. I know Nick is not a big YouTube watcher or maker, but they're not going anywhere. They're there if you want to watch them. So
yeah, sounds good.
You can check them out. So Nick, you ready to talk about some games this week?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So we are going to, I guess, if you're listening to this, you probably already read the title and you know the week 2 games for Season 1. We're going to talk about Boogie Loops first. Does that sound good?
Sounds great to me.
Boogie Loops by Khoe and Andy Matuschak. Does that sound right? Matuschak? Probably
I think so.
Names.
Yeah, but hard to know. Sorry.
I checked out both of their bios, and I was not familiar with their previous work, unfortunately. Meili, it looks like, was a former Apple employee, and it worked on some other types of apps. But anyway, Boogie Loops. Nick, what can you tell us about Boogie Loops?
Boogie Loops is like a simple sequencer program. You can define different types or patterns of sounds that you wish to play in different positions on what's essentially a note chart and select different scales or different piano effects that you want it to play, uh, as well as different modifiers for those notes, which are selected up above. So at the very top of the screen, you have dancing characters, which, as far as I know, changing those does not make any difference to the sounds which are played. Do you know
No,
that, Don?
I don't
Okay.
think it does.
Okay. They do a very cute little dance, though, so that's fun. Um, and then proceeding down, you've got the chart that has the different instrumentation. So that's where you choose the synthesized piece. And there's
You skipped it. You skipped a section.
did I?
Yeah, right underneath the whatever the furries are the different dance moves.
Oh, is that what those are?
Yeah, there's like a spinning top. There's a Kleenex container.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a weed or a flower or something. I don't know all these dance moves, but yeah, those are the different dance moves you can have them do.
Okay. All right. Um, and then below that is the sequencing chart. So that's where
Yes.
you actually put the notes in place. Um, Pressing B at any time while you're in that sequencing chart will play the song from the position that you're in. So if you're making a more complex track, then it allows you to play, just bits and pieces, which is helpful if you're trying to get a sound just right. Um, Going all the way to the left on the sequencer allows you to change it's not the scales, but it changes the instrumentation, like I was saying. Um, and uh, you can press each note. You place each note by pressing A, and pressing A second time will change uh, the tone that's generated. So um, if it's a sine wave initially, it'll change it to a triangle wave or something of that nature, if I understand correctly. Um,
Well, there's like a fish, a bass for bass, and then a bird, a tweet for a higher pitched sound. Right? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, um, but each note placement can have, from what I gathered, two different ones. You can only pick from one or two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes. But then you
And
can
then,
scale up or down.
right. And below that, you have controls. You can play and pause the entire track. You can speed up or decrement the speed at which it is played. Uh, the center button, I'm not really sure what it does. Do you know?
I'm trying to remember. I don't use the center button.
Hitting it brought up three different images of D-pads, one with the B in the
Oh,
center, and then a D-pad on the left and right.
yeah. Those are like those are impromptu special effects, so you can
Okay.
freestyle.
Yeah, it fired off like a million fireworks when I hit
Mm-hmm.
the left D-pad.
So there's
Um,
12 different special effects you can kind of freestyle with.
okay,
Sound
cool.
effects.
And then there's a timing slider, so you can there's a clock that represents completely accurate timing, and then there's a martini glass which represents sloppy timing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you can change that and make it so that the song plays more loosely or very very tight and accurate to what you've defined in the sequencer. And then to the right of that is a little robot face. Every game needs a little robot face, I think. Hitting that allows you to save or load or modify files, basically, that you create in Boogie Loops.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's a pretty complete little sequencing package for this little handheld, and I think it's an interesting idea. What do you think of it, Don?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. This is probably the game I've played the most on the Playdate so far.
Really?
Yeah, I've messed around with it a lot. You may have noticed I've made little tiny short jingles for the episode so far, and those
Mm-hmm.
are just things I've made with Boogie Loops to get around the Apple no using licensed music thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is fun. And I am not a musician, so I don't know what most of this stuff is. But I grew up playing MTV Music Generator on PS1, and I don't know, just messing with a lot of these different things. Up to the new, there's a Korg, similar type Korg software on the Nintendo Switch that I've got, which is a little more complex, but similar, I guess, similar not operating system, but similar controls.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a while to figure out what the clock and the martini glass did. I guess I should ask, looking at the Playdate games page for Boogie Loops,
Mm-hmm.
um, the top image shows a slider on both the little rabbit and the turtle, the speed or the tempo slider, and on the clock and martini glass. On my game, I don't have a slider.
When I first opened it, I thought that I did see a slider, but right before this episode, I popped it open just to refresh myself, and I didn't have sliders anymore. Yeah, so I don't know if that got
Hmm.
changed in an update or if I'm misremembering, which is quite possible.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't seen an update, or I haven't noticed one anyway. But hopefully they come back, because I had no idea what the martini glass thing did for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we mentioned underneath the piano section where you're putting in the notes, there is a rhythm section under that where you have like drum and hi-hat and things like that. Pretty basic. But so with the dancing bears and whatnot, I
Mm-hmm.
basically don't use them. I use them as like to title my songs. So I'll put all panda bears and then like one cactus, and that would be the title of one file. And then the next one,
Okay.
I might change it to one bunny in the middle or something,
Mm-hmm.
just so I can remember which song is which. Now, when you're on the title screen, I'm not sure how many songs you can have on here. I think it
Mm-hmm.
comes with like 3 or 5 samples, and then you can create new boogies. And I don't know if you can just make as many as you want or what, but you can also duplicate them and mess around with them from that point. So I do have one, like I have 2 that are the same, but one has drum track and the other one doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I changed one of the dancers to differentiate the 2. But when you're hovering over it, it'll play in the background, so you can hear what the
Right.
file sounds like. And
On
I guess it'll go out to 32 bars, which is pretty lengthy.
substantial. Yeah.
Yeah. The farthest I've gone is, I think I'm going to stick it on the beginning of this episode, so maybe you'll hear it. I think it's like maybe 10 or so, not very long.
Well,
Maybe 20 seconds.
and the thing that you can do with this is make loops as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
you could loop it for 20, 30 minutes. Just really pad out the
Sure.
episode.
That's what I'm doing at the beginning of this episode. Yeah.
Right.
uh,
Sounds good.
they said they were inspired by Mario Paint and
Yeah.
Vine loops. I am
Hmm.
familiar with Vine, but I'm not familiar with the loops. I just remember seeing little GIFs and whatnot, or I guess little videos and memes and whatnot. I
Well,
know you're probably not a big Vine person, but do you remember loops from that?
I've never touched a vine. I don't know what those
Okay.
look like, but um, I am very familiar with Mario Paint. And as you know, I try to compare everything to Mario Paint if I can.
Right, of course.
So this this is good. But if you're familiar at all with any kind of sequencing software, this is very similar. I'm
Mhm.
actually very impressed with how much they're able to put into this interface and make it um, distinguishable. There's quite a lot that's on screen and that you can control. There are, it's a relatively simplified one compared
Mhm.
to, um, big sequencers, but it's still very impressive the things that you can create with it. Um, so it's pretty neat. I'm excited that they were able to package up a sequencer for this and take advantage of the cool synth hardware that's in the Playdate.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked a little bit last week about how good the speaker on the Playdate is,
Hmm.
and I love that this takes advantage of it.
Have you used headphones with the Playdate at all?
I did the other day. I don't think it was with this game. I don't
Hmm.
remember what I was doing, but I did. Oh, I was trying to I was trying to import it to my PC, I was trying to rip a Boogie Loop, but I am not a PC guy. I could not figure out how to do it.
Okay.
That's a Nick problem.
Yeah, just mail me your Playdate. I'll
Okay. You'll figure it out. Yeah, so I had to do I just played it over a microphone, and then it'll not sound great. But yeah, casual podcasting.
Are you some kind of casual podcaster?
Very much so.
I'll give you some technical advice here after the show.
Thanks, Nick.
You're welcome. Well, Don.
Well,
anything
Nick,
you'd like to add about Boogie Loops?
I guess the only thing I would add to Boogie Loops is I wish there were more than just 2 sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I think the interface is just fine. And like I said, I've probably played this more than anything. So I am enjoying Boogie Loops. I think it's a great little addition to season 1. And I'm going to have lots of fun continuing along with it. So yeah, highly recommend giving it a shake. Even if you're like me and you are not a musician, worth poking around with. It's not like there's so much there that you're not going to be able to figure it out.
Right.
I think anybody could figure out what's going on here. So
it's a step up in complexity from Mario Paint.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they get a lot of mileage out of the bird and the bass. There's no what do we have? Coins and mushrooms and whatnot on Mario Paint.
Mm-hmm. And
Man, that was a great game. Oh yeah.
Truck.
Little cloud. Man,
Fire flower. Yeah.
I kind of want to fire that one up. Why have we not had another Mario Paint, man?
Yeah, it's a good question.
How do we skip that on the Wii? That would have been a home run. But the Playdate's been out for 3 weeks and it already has one.
Yeah, exactly. So, Don.
Yes.
There was a second game that came out as part of week 2.
You're saying there's 2 in 1 week?
There's 2 in 1 week.
What a value.
I know. Don, I'm here to talk with you about Crankin's Time Travel Adventure. And that game was made by the studio Uvula. And Keita Takahashi is one of the folks at Uvula. And he is the creator of games like Katamari Damacy and Watam and Nobi Nobi Boy. So I'm a big fan of his work on other platforms. And this was really the thing that they announced early on that really piqued my interest. I was interested in the hardware and the fact that it had a crank, but the fact that Keita Takahashi was creating an original game for the platform really sold it to me. So I've been looking forward to this game since they announced it a while ago. So I was excited that it showed up as part of week 2. How about you? Are you a Keita Takahashi fan?
Yeah, sticking his name on this project definitely gave it some mileage. I mean, that was a big selling point. It's not like he has a game coming out every week.
Right.
We should mention Uvula was a studio that he and his wife started, but the other people involved in the game were Ryan Moeller, Matthew Grimm, and Sean Inman.
Mm-hmm.
But the Katamari series is one of my favorite series of all time. I would probably put We Love Katamari in my top 20, maybe, all time. Yeah, very beloved series in my heart. His other games, Nobi Nobi Boy, I played a decent amount of. Those were my first videos I ever put up on YouTube, were Nobi Nobi Boy clips. I liked, but it's a weirder game. It's not the same type of experience.
Yeah.
And Watam, I still haven't played that much. We talked about on our previous podcast, Gaming on 10, that my PlayStation has been kicked to the curb. It's on the lesser TV, so I need to bring it back up to the good TV and play it a little bit more. So I need to get back into Watam. Did you try Glitch or Alphabet when they were alive and around?
Glitch or Alphabet? No, I'm not sure what those are. Glitch
was an MMO or a multiplayer. Yeah, it was an MMO that he made, but it wasn't around for very long. It was only a couple of months. It launched and then unlaunched very quickly. And then
Ooh,
Alphabet, I'm not sure how long that was around. That was a massively single player offline game, is what it was titled.
nice.
So, but anyway, yeah, his mind for making unique experiences in video games was something that was very attractive when Playdate was announced.
Hmm.
So, but Crankin, let's talk a little bit about the game Crankin's time travel. I've heard a couple of people mention Crankin. It should be Cranklin, right? I will keep wanting to call him Cranklin.
Yeah, that's Ryan Clater, who was on our last episode, was had
Okay,
mentioned
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Ryan's right. Cranklin. Cranklin and Crankette.
Yeah.
Anyway, but his name is Crankin.
Yep.
So,
And that's
yeah,
what you'll be doing when you play this game. It's cranking.
you will be cranking. Yes. I'm going to read the synopsis here.
Okay.
Crankin loves taking naps, but that is always the cause of more trouble, being late to work or missing flights. And today he woke up from a nap at the exact time he was supposed to meet a date. Advance or rewind Crankin's timeline. Hurry to the meeting place where your loved one, Crankette, is waiting and apologize for being late. So, yeah, the idea is every day you start right at 3:00, the time you're supposed to be meeting Crankette, and you wake up and you got to run as fast as you can to her and dodge obstacles on the way there. And the way you move is by turning the crank. That propels your body forward. If you turn the crank backwards, it rewinds time. So that's the time travel adventure aspect.
Hmm.
Um, but while your body is rewinding backwards in time, the obstacles are still propelling forwards in time. So it has a little bit of a braid kind of thing to it, or maybe a super hot kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah, it's a puzzle game at its
Mm-hmm.
heart, an action puzzle game, something like that.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is it's sort of like a speed running. It's a speed running puzzle game. Yeah, it's hard, man.
it's
I'm
very
not going to
difficult.
cut corners. If you're used to Katamari and Wadum and Nobu Nobu Boy, you came to the wrong place because he took a severe 90-degree turn, and this
Yeah.
is his foray into super difficult, very precise, unforgiving speed running games. Basically, that's what this is. This is like a perfection game.
Hmm. It is very satisfying once you figure out the puzzle, though. Um, the the issue that you might run into is that it might take you 200-300 runs before you figure out the entire pattern and then execute it perfectly. Um, it's very challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Um, where how far have you gotten into the game, Don?
I'm about where you are. I don't have it here. I'm maybe like 15, maybe 15 to 20, somewhere in there.
Okay, yeah,
15 to 20.
I'm on 20. I'm stuck on 20 at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really interesting. Now they pushed a patch for Crankin last week, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
that reduced the difficulty of stage 9. Were you playing prior to that?
I was playing prior, but I did not get past stage 9 before that. I was only on like 7 or something. So
Okay.
I don't know what it was like before that. I had seen people break their cranks,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of talk of people like their cranks are acting weird or making weird noises. It's a very crank heavy game for good and bad. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool to see the crank work so well in this game.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique. But on the other hand, like, it's a very small crank. The crank's like 1 inch long. So
Right.
if you're having to really swing it, like I saw people using a drill on the crank.
Ooh.
Well, like not, they would put something on the drill. Like somebody put I think an Allen wrench in the drill, and then they use the Allen wrench, the end of the Allen wrench, to swing the drill around. I mean, swing the crank around.
Hmm.
So they didn't actually grip it onto the drill, but I don't blame them. I mean, some of these levels are pretty tough, but or super accurate. The crank is very precise.
It is. Yeah. And Crankin does everything in his power to like stretch in such a way that his
Hmm.
head touches some kind of obstacle and you have
Right.
to start over.
The hitbox is pixel perfect.
It is.
So if one pixel of his ankle or helmet is touching something, that's it. It's game over. That's another unforgiving part of it is you mess up once and you're back to the start
To the beginning. That's right.
of
So
that stage, of that date.
even if you've figured out, how to execute perfectly, it's very difficult to do that over and over again
Mm-hmm.
to progress in the stage.
I I don't feel that it's that satisfying when you make it. I mean, it is a relief, but I don't feel like it's not like an Elden Ring kind of thing. Like, oh, I finally beat this boss. It's more just like, oh my gosh, it's a relief. But then you're like right into the next one that's equally as hard. The next date. I haven't found an easy date, like hard, 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 easy, easy, easy kind of rhythm to it.
Hmm. I've found that usually after the culmination of a lot of different ideas, and they're kind of like boss stages, and I think those are the ones with all the stairs.
Hmm.
And once you pass one of those, are those every 10 stages? Maybe that's the deal. Anyway, once you pass one of those, they'll introduce new ideas, and you have to puzzle your way through those, and then they start combining things in different ways. It's pretty clever. I mechanically, I like what is done. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's very satisfying because um, it's like that pattern memorization and replication from like early NES games, um, where you have to figure out exactly how to get by the eagles or whatever in Ninja Gaiden or Castlevania.
The difference is my brain was a lot more supple when I was 9, not 40.
Yeah.
My memory has been terrible the past 5 years, and and my patience too. I'm not gonna pull punches. It's just this game is not for me. I wanted to love it, and the charm. I mean, his games are very charming, and starting out, I was like excited about it, and it starts out very charming. I I went in guns blazing, wanting to love this thing, and was like, this just isn't for me. I'm not into speed running. I'm not into pixel perfect playthroughs. And it's going to get harder and harder. So I just know this isn't for me. And I went ahead and I watched the last 20 stages on
Hmm.
YouTube, and it's definitely not like I would. There's no way on earth I would play this. Like, I'm sure you've watched difficult Mario Maker playthroughs.
Hmm.
It's not quite at like the hellscape of those things, but I mean, you're getting in the same ballpark, and there's no way I'm going to be able to either handle that or enjoy that.
Hmm.
So I'm a little
Well,
bummed.
not every game is for everybody.
Right. Well,
So
that's a good thing about this season getting 2 games a week.
yeah, yeah.
But as a fan of his previous games, it's a little bit of a bummer. But I'm surprised you hadn't beaten it though, Nick. You're very much like you'll just beat your head against something until it breaks. I thought you would have finished it by now.
Well, Don, I have been playing a lot of Bloom. I'm still playing a lot
Yeah,
of Bloom. I've already rolled credits on Bloom, and I'm still playing it. Um, it's that good.
I love to hear that. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So I'm about 20 stages, or I am 20 stages into Crankin, and I'm definitely excited to progress further. Um, but I don't want to fall behind in the season's games that are coming up. So it's
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's one of those things that's going to have legs for me that I'll be able to hop in, try my
Yeah,
hardest to complete a stage every so often, and then eventually progress a little bit further each time. So I kind of like the fact that I can take that as a bit more of a bite-sized challenge rather than trying to sit there and run through all the stages. Um, so
that is a positive. It's not like you're gonna forget how to play it if you go
right,
pick it up in a year.
keep cranking.
Yeah, you'll be able to you'll be able to pick it up right away. Yeah, maybe I guess you can forget some of the patterns. I did notice that you'll get like a notifier like, hey, there's an enemy coming from the right side or the left side of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish it's coming from the top, the bottom, the middle.
Yep. I hear you.
instead of just, hey, it's coming from this side or that side. The sound effects are a lot of fun, and those are really
Yes.
whimsical. So I do appreciate that. And it is a really cute, charming game.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, if you're like me, it's worth, I guess, watching on YouTube. It won't take you very long.
And if you're like me, you'll probably really enjoy it. So
Mm-hmm.
give it a shot.
Give it a shot. Nick, are you ready to add it to our overall ranking for the season?
Let's do it.
All right. So right now we've got Casual Birder, Whitewater Wipeout in there. So I am going to slot. I'm going to keep Casual Birder at number 1. I'm going to slot Boogie Loops in at number 2. I'm going to leave Whitewater Wipeout at number 3. I'm going to put Crankin at number 4.
Well, that's very, very similar to my list, but not quite the same. So we've started to diverge here. Number 1 for me is still Casual Birder. Number 1 in my heart and on my list. And number 2, Crankin's Time Travel Adventure. Number 3, Whitewater Wipeout. And number 4, Boogie Loops. So
very good.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how the rest of the season will shape up.
Well, there's going to be some major shakeups the next 2 weeks. Major.
So speaking of shakeups, Don,
yes.
Tell me about your indie game of the week.
Oh, Nick, you're going to love this one.
Okay.
My indie game of the week is a game called Life's Too Short by, I think it's Ollie Khoe. Mm-hmm. I picked this up on itch. I don't have a link, but I think it was $1, maybe $2. But it's basically like a little quick Maniac Mansion kind of adventure game. You're a little ghost. You go into a mansion, and there are 2 vampires that are having a marital rift, and you have to solve these little puzzles in order to unite them again. So it's pretty simple. You run around. There's maybe 10 rooms or so in the castle, so it's not like a huge castle. And the puzzles are pretty simple. The dialogue's pretty short but cute. There is a hint system. You can ask the butler, like, hey, what am I supposed to be doing next? Which is kind of unnecessary, but I'm all for like more help, for more accessibility for anybody. So I'm into that. And yeah, it's really cute. Very simple graphics and whatnot, but they are effective. There are many different characters you run into, or for being only 10 rooms, there's more than just 1 or 2 characters. So that's pretty cool. It has an ending, and I think I beat the whole thing in one sitting, and it took maybe 15-20 minutes.
Wow. Okay.
There are no save states, so know that going in. You need to finish this thing in one shot.
Okay.
But it's not a huge ask. But really charming, really cute. The music is good. The graphics are just fine. They get the job done. So, I mean, it was exactly, this is the kind of experience I wanted early in the life of the Playdate. So Life's Too Short.
And is the crank utilized?
I don't think I used the crank.
Okay. Good to know.
I don't think so. But so tell me about your game. I've seen it on the list, but I have not tried it, so I know nothing about it.
Okay, this is a surprisingly addictive game called Airball, and it's by Professir. You can also get this on itch.io. I think it's either free or name your price, one of those. So it is a very simple game. If you have played Breakout or Pong, but only one side, that's what it's like. So you control the paddle, and you're just hitting this ball up against a wall over and over and over again, and trying to get the highest score possible. In order to move the platform, which hits the ball, you turn the crank, and the platform itself is represented as a nut on a screw. So it's a very satisfying one-to-one motion as you move the crank. And it's just a very simple and fun port of that concept. And I recommend it if you've got a couple minutes to play a game and you just want to have a little score attack situation. I think Airball is for you.
So what's your high score, Nick? Do you know?
I think something in the 40s.
Okay. Maybe we should have a channel in the Discord, like Game of the Week, and just have bragging rights in there. Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, this looks simple but fun.
It is, yeah. And similar to Breakout, depending on how you strike the ball with the platform, it will change the physics of the ball as it's in motion. There's a very nice ball trail, which elongates as the ball picks up speed, which makes the ball fairly easy to see. So there are some nice touches there, which are concessions to the platform and the screen that it's running on, which I think are really cool. Professir did a very nice job with this, so give it a shot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll add this one right when we're finished. Oh, I like that people are posting their high scores in the comments for the on the itch page, I should say. Is that you, Nick?
It's not.
Oh, that's Professor. His high score is 50.
Ooh, all right. Something to shoot for.
Yeah, we got a goal. All right, I'll check this out. I noticed last week I talked about that Yahtzee game. Gosh, what was his name? Yoshimi
Yahtzee.
Yeah, he just got his Playdate yesterday, so he made these cool games and then didn't even have a Playdate, a physical Playdate unit.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
And speaks to not only his skill as a developer, but also the quality of the SDK. So, very cool.
Pretty tempted to try it out, Nick.
Do it on.
I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna, if I try to mess around with making something, I'm just gonna brick my Playdate. That's definitely gonna happen.
I feel like it's pretty robust from what I've read of the SDK, so
okay.
I think you'll be fine.
Nah. I should mention, while I'm on the itch page, there's like a sale on a bunch of these itch games all of a sudden. Daily Driver's half off, and there's like a bundle, because I've just bought Daily Driver before we started recording. So there was like a bundle for $7. You got a bunch of them for half price. I didn't get the bundle, I just got that game, but Mash Gadget is 40% off.
Daily Driver, do you have to load from the SDK? Is that one of those? There's a few itch games where you can't sideload them directly, and I seem to recall that was one of them.
I don't know. Did you set up a dev profile?
Unless I did it a long time ago, I don't remember. I haven't done it recently.
Okay. You have to set up a separate profile as a developer to load through the SDK.
Okay.
But you can do it. I've been playing a game that I had to do that with, and it's a very, very good game. One of the best games I've played.
Okay.
It's worth doing.
It's on my to-do.
I guess maybe I'll talk about it more. It's called Island, but maybe I'll talk about it more next week. But
sounds
it
like
was
an
worth,
indie game of week 3.
Yeah, it was worth doing because it's an excellent puzzle game.
Cool.
So believe the hype. Do you know why the banner for Supercorp Tax Avoider is so small?
Yeah, I was reading some comments about that recently. They didn't have the Playdate, so that was another one, and so they weren't able to see that on the actual hardware. I believe they made an update. And are you familiar with updating side-loaded games?
I was going to ask if they, some of them, it seemed to happen automatically.
I don't. I saw somebody mention that in the fan Discord, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't see how that would be possible, right?
Right. Unless they're distributed by Panic, but I don't think there are any third-party games distributed by Panic outside of the season games yet. So the way that it should work, or the way that I believe that it works, is that you just download the new version on itch and then re-upload it to the sideload page, and it'll download it automatically. So far, everything that I've read that's had an update, like Bloom, for example, it does not affect your save data. I'm sure that there could be exceptions to that based on the game. So you'll want to read the release notes for any side-loaded update carefully.
The release notes for any side-loaded update.
Yes. So if you're downloading it from itch, for example, you'll want to take a look at that. If they're updated automatically somehow, then there might be some kind of quality guarantee that it's not going to destroy things or something, but maybe not. Who knows?
I mean, what would the notes say? Like, this will destroy your Playdate?
Not your Playdate, but like Bloom, for example. If it had reset all my progress, I would have been pretty.
Oh, I see.
Upset.
This will wipe your save, kind of.
That
kind of thing. Okay.
Right.
All right. So I just noticed. Okay, so Super Text Avoider is on 1.1. I checked the file on my Playdate. It's at 1.0.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to choose the file. Do you think it will automatically overwrite it, or am I going to have to uninstall the game?
Yeah, it automatically overwrites it from what I've heard.
All right. I call shenanigans. All right, well, we'll see.
Okay.
If you bricked my Playdate, Nick, I'm going to be furious.
Well.
No, I'm sure it's fine.
Sorry in advance, Don. No, just kidding.
I'm sure it's fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I hope they come up with a way to sort your list differently. We need folders already on the Playdate. You have to wait 5 years like the Switch.
I discovered after sideloading a ton of stuff that you can use the crank to navigate the menu, which is really handy.
Oh.
And that helps a lot. So Bloom is all the way at the bottom of my list. And I keep jumping all the way to the top to the season games and then back down.
Can you sort them?
You can't sort them that I've seen, but maybe it's possible. I haven't tried.
I guess you just have to delete it and then re-upload it. No, wait. I deleted Bloom the other day. Let me see where it put it. When I was trying to do this, so I was playing Bloom and put my Playdate down, and then it didn't update that night. That's when I initially started. So I thought, maybe Bloom's a problem. Okay, so I reinstalled Bloom, and it's still at the bottom because it was the second game I bought. So no, it slotted it back in the same spot. That's weird.
It is.
So I deleted on my account page, it showed 2 files for Super Corporate Tax Evader. I deleted the 1.0 file. I'm not seeing 1.1 show up on here. I'm going to have to uninstall, I think.
I think it'll load automatically. You know how games show up automatically on the Playdate that you sideload?
Yeah, but it's not. I kept hitting refresh and it wouldn't show up. Oh, I guess we'll see. It says it's downloading something. Uh-oh, it just
Something's
froze.
Happening.
You just bricked it, Nick. All right, is there anything else we want to talk about before we wrap it up? Sorry, your Playdate has crashed. Press A to restart. Damn it, nice. Nick. God.
Well,
thank you for listening to our last episode.
It'll be fine, Don. It'll be fine.
That's what you say. All right. Well, I'm gonna go light some candles, lay hands, etc.
All right. Sorry, Don. But thanks very much for listening, everybody. And we'll be back next week with week 3, season 1 of the Playdate.
Can't wait. It's a great week. Check us out. Check us out on Discord. There'll be a link in the show notes. You can email us, helloplaydatepodcast@gmail.com. On Twitter, hellopdpodcast. Instagram, hellopplaydate. And the website, helloplaydatepodcast.com. Thank you all for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Bye.